Aliyah Boston didn't just play basketball in Game 2. She sent a message to the Atlanta Dream, a message to the refs, and a message to every single person who doubted the Indiana Fever. After the chaos of Game 1, after all the frustration about officiating, after nearly a decade without a playoff win, Boston and the Fever stormed Gainbridge Fieldhouse and turned it into a fortress. They didn't trail once, not for a single second. From the opening tip to the final buzzer, Indiana suffocated Atlanta in a defensive masterclass, walking off the floor with a 77-60 victory and their first postseason win since 2016. And when Boston finally spoke after the game, her words hit just as hard as her dominance in the paint. This wasn't just a playoff win. This was redemption. This was belief. This was the Indiana Fever announcing they are here to stay. If you're fired up right now, smash that like button and drop a "Let's Go Fever" in the comments. Now let's break down exactly how it happened. Fans didn't just walk into Gainbridge Fieldhouse for basketball. They walked in carrying anger. Game 1 still stung, calls that looked one-sided, momentum that slipped away because of whistles. Indiana fans were calling it robbery. Take this play, Lexi Hull on Ryan Howard. Hull's defense is perfect. Hands up, feet moving, no contact. And yet, the whistle blows. Foul. That kind of moment summed up the frustration. When you play your heart out and the officiating tilts the balance, it doesn't just hurt, it burns. That's the fire the Fever carried into Game 2. But the outrage wasn't their only challenge. Indiana wasn't just undermanned, they were stripped down. 5 players out. Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Colson, Chloe Beebe, Ari McDonald. That's a chunk of your rotation, gone in the biggest game of the year. So who would step up? Who would take the weight? Head coach Stephanie White answered it before the game. There's gotta be a desperation you play with, a sense of urgency at all times. That wasn't coach speak. That was a demand. And the Fever responded. The opening minutes set the tone. Indiana scored first. Indiana defended first. And Indiana never looked back. For the first time since 2002, the Fever went wire to wire in a playoff win. No ties, no lead changes, just complete control for 40 minutes. Atlanta never stood a chance. Indiana's defense wasn't good. It was suffocating. Atlanta relies on perimeter shooting to set their offense, but in the first half, they were 1 for 10 from deep. By the end, just 5 for 19. That's barely 27%. Overall, the Dream shot under 40%. Every possession felt rushed. Every jumper felt contested. Indiana forced Atlanta into uncomfortable looks all night. That's not luck. That's discipline. That's execution. That's the Fever deciding the refs wouldn't matter because they were taking the game out of anyone's hands but their own. Gainbridge Fieldhouse wasn't just loud, it was alive. The fans had been starving for a playoff win, and when the Fever started pulling away, you could feel it. The building shaking, years of frustration being released. And there on the sidelines, Caitlin Clark, cheering, clapping, living every possession. She wasn't just a spectator, she was an energy source. Her presence tied the team and fans together, an invisible 6th player feeding momentum. Now let's give flowers where they're due. Kelsey Mitchell. This was her night. A game-high 19 points, 4 threes, and momentum killers that buried Atlanta every time they tried to make a run. Without Clark drawing defenses, Mitchell had to be the engine. And she delivered. Aliyah Boston, the anchor, 15 points, rebounds, assists, and total control of the paint. But it wasn't just stats. Boston's presence forced Atlanta to double team, opening up the floor for teammates. She turned pressure into opportunity. Natasha Howard, The grit, 12 points, 5 rebounds, and endless hustle. The kind of dirty work that doesn't always make headlines but wins games. Michaela Timpson, the spark, 9 points in 9 minutes. A rookie who played fearless. She wasn't supposed to be the difference maker, but in a short rotation, her energy became fuel. Lexi Hull, the dagger. That buzzer beater at the end of the third quarter? It blew the roof off Gainbridge. It wasn't just points. It was a moment. The crowd had been waiting years for something like that, and Hull gave it to them. Here's where it all comes back to Aliyah Boston. Game 1 was a struggle. Atlanta's physicality bothered her, but in Game 2, she flipped the script. She pushed Brianna Jones off her spots. She protected the rim. She dictated tempo. And then, after the game, she spoke with fire. She called the defense a masterclass. She said the locker room was crazy with belief. She made it clear this wasn't luck, this was identity. That kind of conviction, that's leadership. And when your young star speaks like that, the entire team takes on her energy. Now the series shifts. Game 3, winner moves on, loser goes home. The Dream have home court advantage. The Gateway Center Arena will be packed. Atlanta will be desperate. But here's the truth. The pressure isn't on Indiana, it's on Atlanta. The Fever already ended a playoff drought. They already proved they can win without Clark. They already stole momentum. Atlanta, they're supposed to win, and yet they just got exposed. Indiana's defense travels. Kelsey Mitchell's scoring doesn't vanish. Boston's presence in the paint isn't tied to a zip code. Natasha Howard's toughness, that's everywhere. And if Michaela Timpson can provide another spark, Atlanta will have problems. The blueprint is there. Indiana just has to execute. But let's zoom out. This isn't just about one series, this is about the return of Indiana Fever basketball. For nearly a decade, the Fever were forgotten. No playoff wins, no identity, just disappointment. But this group, led by Boston, Mitchell, Howard, and yes, Caitlin Clark waiting in the wings, has flipped the narrative. This win was bigger than 77-60. It was a message, resilience, unity, grit. Aliyah Boston didn't hold back, and now neither can we. Fever fans, your time has come. After nearly 10 years, you got your playoff win, and it came in dominant fashion. Now it's one more game, one more chance to shock the league. If you believe in this team, drop a Let's Go Fever in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a moment of this journey. The Fever silenced the refs. They silenced the doubters. And now, they're ready to silence Atlanta. Game 3, it's all on the line. Let's go.